Hey there, I'm Patti Ogilvie and I'm a senior enrollment counselor with the Student Loan Help Group.
And I'm Sam Pettingill. I'm also a senior enrollment counselor with the Student Loan Help Group.
So today Sam and I are going to go over some changes that are in effect and in the future and currently, and we're going to talk about the Biden relief. So we're just going to hopefully clear up a lot of the information that's out there that is confusing everybody. And so let's just start out. So Sam, how does the new proposed income-driven repayment plan impact student borrowers?
So back a couple of weeks ago now, on the 30th of June, you probably heard that there was a Supreme Court decision regarding the Biden relief, which we'll get to in a little bit. But as part of that decision, as part of the outcome of that decision, one of the Biden administration's responses was to push up the timeline on an income-driven payment plan that they had proposed earlier this year. And what that income-driven payment plan is going to do is establish a new option for all borrowers that for almost everyone is going to be a better option than what you currently have as far as an income-driven payment plan, or probably a payment plan in general. This new income-driven payment plan is called SAVE, which stands for Saving on a Valuable Education. And the Department of Education has committed that it will take effect before October, which is when repayment is expected to begin again following the CARES Act forbearance. So before we go back into repayment, the Department of Education is saying we will have this payment plan available. And it's a pretty big impact for most borrowers. The Department of Education, again, they've done some calculations. They've said for most borrowers, it's going to cut monthly payments in half. The average borrower is going to save at least $1,000 a year off of their income-driven payment. If it's not saving you at least $1,000 a year, it's actually going to end up with a $0 payment for quite a lot of people. Many more borrowers are going to end up on $0 payments. Plus, it's going to stop balances from growing due to unpaid interest. So I think
and one thing that we probably, sorry, Sam, one thing we should probably point out, because it always confuses everybody, a $0 a month payment still counts as a qualified eligible payment, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
sorry.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. If you're working toward, for example, public service loan forgiveness, as long as you're working for a qualifying employer, a $0 payment is still qualifying. If you have a qualifying employer and a month goes by with a $0 payment, that's a qualifying payment. So it is pretty important for people pursuing forgiveness too.
Right.
So this is going to save a lot of people a lot of money, but one of the things that they have done as in response is block some of the previous income-driven payment plans from new enrollments. And as soon as the SAVE plan takes effect, a couple of the income-driven payment plans will no longer accept new borrowers. Which plans are those, Patty?
So there are two of them. There's, well, yeah, two. So one is PAYE, that stands for pay as you earn, and then ICR, which stands for income contingent repayment. Now those aren't going to be available unless somebody is already on it. They can remain on that. And also if somebody has Parent Plus loans and they want to go on an income driven repayment plan, then the ICR, the income contingent repayment, is still going to be their only option.
Yep.
Now, what are some of the major changes from the other repayment plans that are taking effect this summer?
So there's going to be kind of a two-part rollout for this program. Initially, it was all going to take effect next year, and they've moved some of it up to take effect this year. So like half of the SAVE plan will take effect this year. The other half will take effect in 2024. So the half that's taking effect this year, that's basically going to raise the amount of income that's considered non-discretionary, meaning protected from repayment. The Department of Education is trying to decide how much can you afford toward your student loans. They're going to consider less of your income as being able to even be looked at going forward. Normally, I believe it had been 125% of the poverty level, and now it's going to be 225% of the federal poverty level. That first 225% of your income above the federal poverty level for your household size is protected from repayment. They won't even consider it. What that means for most people is that single borrowers, if you only have one person in your household, it's just yourself, single borrowers making less than $15 an hour, which works out to about $32,000 or $33,000 per year, will have a $0 payment. Married borrowers, for example, or someone who happens to be in a larger family size. Let's say you have a family of 4 and your combined income is about $67,000, $68,000 a year. If you're making less than $67,500 with a family size of 4, you would also have a $0 income driven payment. So you can see, like, even for someone, you know, who has a larger income coming in, they're still going to have, if your household size is large enough, a $0 payment.
Right.
Borrowers will also not be charged for unpaid monthly interest. What this means is if you're on the SAVE plan and you make your monthly payment every month, your balance will not continue to grow due to interest. So just as an example, let's say you have $200 a month in interest accruing on your loans, and your monthly payment on the SAVE plan is $100 a month. That extra $100 a month in interest normally would have been added to your balance, and you still would have had to pay it back somewhere along the line. With this program, with the SAVE plan, you will not. That $100 will be covered by the Department of Education. It will not increase your loan balance.
That's huge.
That is very big, especially for people who have seen their balances go up year after year, and now you maybe have $100,000 or more. You can see those balances go up very quickly. That's going to stop as long as you're on SAVE. Also, married borrowers who file separately will no longer be required to include their spouse's income in the calculation for SAVE. SAVE is replacing an older program called Revised Pay As You Earn, or REPAYE. If you happen to be on Revised Pay As You Earn right now, once the changes take effect and this plan becomes available, you'll be moved to SAVE automatically, and your payment will be recalculated based on the SAVE guidelines. Whatever your last income was that was submitted to get you on REPAYE, they'll reconsider it with the new guidelines. So when that happens, if you're married filing separately, you'll be able to go on to SAVE, and you will not have to count your spouse's income. You also won't count them as part of the household size. So your household size would go down by 1, but you're not counting your spouse's income, which normally that works out in your favor.
Which is, again, huge. That's huge.
Yeah, that's saving a lot of people a lot of money. So yeah, those are the changes that will take effect right away before October. We don't know the exact date yet, but before repayment begins. And then what about, you know, as far as the changes that will go into effect next year, Patty? Do you want to go over a little bit about what will be taking effect in July of next year?
Yeah, so there's a lot here, you guys, and we're trying to streamline this. And as always, the best thing to do is just reach out to us, set up an appointment, and we'll do a consultation with you, and we'll run the numbers. But what's going to happen now is for undergraduates, that's they're going to cut in half the amount that borrowers have to pay monthly from 10 to 5% discretionary income. Forgive loan balances under 12,000 after 10 years in this plan. For balances over 12,000, add 1 year for every 1,000 over, topping out at 20 to 25 years. Borrowers who go 75 days without making a payment will automatically be enrolled in the SAVE plan. If you have ever given approval for disclosure of tax information to the Department of Education. So they're still going to need your tax information for your income, obviously, to run that payment. And then also borrowers in default will gain access to the income-based repayment, the IDR plan, and can make progress toward forgiveness if making payments while in default on that plan. And then defaulted borrowers who provide income information showing that they would have had a $0 a month payment at the time of default will be automatically moved into good standing, which is huge. This list goes on, and I know we're running out of time. So again, there are a lot of changes, you guys. Best to reach out to us so we can go over those options with you. Also, another reminder is that the program that's in place through the end of the year that's going to allow time in repayment from your past account while with an eligible employer, that's still in effect till the end of the year. Do not delay. Take advantage of that. We just crossed over, our company has just crossed over $152,245,000, $483 in forgiveness so far for the people that we've helped that benefited from that program. So as always, our main goal is to just keep you updated on the changes, set an appointment with us, and know for sure. Don't just assume that you know this, because it's a lot, you guys. And Sam is really knowledgeable about it, and she keeps us all updated as well. So I can tell you for sure that we're going to be your best course of the mediation between the two, the changes, new programs, old programs, etc.
Yep, absolutely. So there is one other interesting thing that's going to happen around the same time when the SAVE plan becomes available. So when the SAVE plan starts for the next 12 months after that, the next 12 months after repayment begins, so starting in October, Borrowers who miss payments will not be reported to credit bureaus, be referred to collection agencies, or be considered in default. So they are creating sort of an on-ramp. If repayment starts in October and you're not used to having to budget for the last 3 years and you miss a payment, it's not going to be the end of the world in the sense that it's not going to be reported to collections and harm your credit. This is giving people a little bit of a cushion, just like Patty was mentioning with the one-time adjustment. This is giving you time to get on track and take advantage of those programs and not have this be a catastrophic thing when we go back into repayment in October. So
Right.
definitely they're providing us a little bit of cushioning to help you take advantage of that and get on track now, because at least this way, you know, when things go back into repayment, you still have time to get on track.
Right. Well, we'll keep you updated, everybody. So just, you know, stay tuned for the next webinar. And like I said, Sam's really knowledgeable. She's keeping us all up to date. And so we'll let you know any changes that come into effect, because there's going to be more, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing that we can be sure of, is that this is always changing, always getting updated. Like Patty said, we'll continue to keep you all up to date as well. We'll definitely, I think, see a few changes. One of the things that we had mentioned was, of course, you've probably already heard that the Supreme Court struck down the Biden relief back on the 30th of June. We'll probably continue to see updates from that, because the Biden administration has said that they will try to make an alternative program. They have said that it will be a narrower scope, it will affect fewer people, and it may be for less forgiveness than what originally had been. Originally, of course, we had that $10,000 in forgiveness, but they are pledging to come up with an alternative program. We probably won't see it until next year, because they are planning on taking at least this fall for stakeholder meetings and such to try to have a better attempt this time.
Right.
Once we know more, we will let you know.
Exactly. Well, thanks, everybody. And we hope that you have a fantastic day.
Thanks. Have a great one.
Bye, y'all.